right, Heinekens, welcome back. This is lesson 4 within the TradingView overview. Now, in the previous lesson 3, we covered a few of the different explanations as to what these different things were up on the top here, down the side, along the bottom, and obviously along this side as well. Now, we also showed you how you can change your theme from a dark theme to a light theme, but we're going to get into a few other customizations around specifically the settings within TradingView. Now, there are 3 different ways that you can get into these settings. Right up here is a little nut or a nut menu. It used to be a cogwheel, but this is like kind of the universal sign around settings. Much the same if you hover over an indicator as well. There's a little settings tab, but that's specifically for that indicator. There might even be a drop-down menu here for settings as well. And this would get into the general chart settings or TradingView settings. So you can generally access it here. And because it's right there, you don't have to go into an indicator and drop down a menu. There is a little nut menu down here as well. And while this does take you to the overall settings menu, which is the same as this one up here, this is a little shortcut menu for ones that are specifically around this right price axes. All of these right price axes, menu settings at least, are all under the more settings or the overall one, which is this one up here as well. The third way to get into that, or even the fourth way, I guess, is if you right click anywhere on your chart, just not on the indicator itself, anywhere in what we call the negative space. I'm going to right click and you get that menu for settings as well. So again, it's either here by right clicking, you can go up to the top here, you can click on this little one and it'll say more settings, and they will all bring you to this overall settings menu for everything that you see in terms of up here, which is called the status line. The symbol is the actual settings for the symbol that you are dealing with. And that's generally whatever it might be. It's not going to change anything for gold, but it'll change anything for any sort of symbols and charts, symbols and tokens and stuff that you're dealing with. Scales and lines is specifically to do with these scales, or price scales or axes, and a little bit of that as well. Canvas is all to do with this background canvas that you see. Trading, as mentioned in module 3, and that is to do with the trading panel. We do not utilize TradingView to make trades. That's just some financial advice. It's entirely up to you. But we'll have a look at that because there are 1 or 2 things we're going to toggle on, toggle off. The alerts, these are some of the settings around alerts, specifically catering around this on the top right-hand side here, the alerts tab, and then events. And this, you see these little things down here? That's what we're referring to, that little global news economic events. So starting at the very top, let's have a look at this. So we're just going to have this as on a day chart for gold at the moment. And if, for instance, you're not sure what something is, you can click it on, click it off. If it doesn't make any change to you, don't stress. We generally leave this off. It is kind of stock standard. You know, if there are more sellers on the day, the price action will be down, or will be a red candle. It might change during the day still. All right. Yesterday was a green day, more buyers for gold the day before, and so forth. All right. If, for instance, you are color challenged, or if you wanted to change any of the settings, it's entirely up to you. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily, but just know that you can click on one of the colors. And if you didn't like the idea of green, you prefer more of a gold or yellow or an orange, you could change the up candles to whatever color you like. Same with then the red candles, but then there's also the border around it, as well as what color the wick would be, like a normal candle, the wick on the top or the wick at the bottom. There are different candle types, and we are going to get into that in a later module. But for now, you don't have to do anything of that. Ignore the precision, but this is one thing that we do want to get into, and there's what time zone are you in? Right, so if you are in Mexico City, you are UTC -6. So because I'm UTC +2, that would be 8 hours behind me. For instance, if you are UTC -4, which is generally the east coast of the States, down to South America as well, even up to Canada, then you're generally 6 hours behind me, but 4 hours behind UTC. For instance, if you are in Buenos Aires, or if you're in Sao Paulo or Rio, or wherever you may be, like our Brazilian friend, then you would have that as your standard. If you live somewhere in the UK, or even Ireland, you might have that. If you're in Nigeria, like a lot of our great community members are, or if you know somebody, an Englishman who lives in London, that may well be yours, etc. I am not in Johannesburg, but it's the same time zone as Johannesburg in South Africa. I'm in Cape Town, so I'm going to select a UTC +2. All right, so that's what you need to do in that first one. Our status line, again, if you're not sure what something is, toggle it on, toggle it off, and you'll notice that everything is going to start changing up here in terms of this extra information. I don't need to see the logo for gold or even Bitcoin, for Solana, but it's entirely up to you what you guys want to have. Now, the title, that would be the coin or the stock or the share or the derivative title. It's pretty handy, pretty good to have on there. But if you go into here, if you click ticker and description, now the ticker for gold is gold, but the description is CFDs on gold. All right. We're not going to get into that now. What we find often is just probably the easiest is just the ticker. So for Solana, it would be Sol, as the ticker description would be Solana. So having the ticker just on there kind of simplifies things and make things a little tidier. Now, because things like shares and stocks, derivatives are generally traded in market hours. Currently, the market is open, but we also know that in crypto, the market is always generally open. So what you'll see if you toggle on and off, there's a little green dot indicating that the market is open at the moment. And again, this would be around the various stock exchanges around the world. I generally have it off because I trade only crypto on here. And it's just one less distracting thing. And this is part of the reason why we're going through this now. Now, chart values is something as well. Toggle on, toggle off. All right. Now you're going to see there, it's an O, an H, an L, and a C, an opening high and a low close. Well, opening value, a high value within that candle of the day, the low value, and the closing value. Again, not that one, chart values. I turn it off. I don't necessarily need to know what is there. If anything, like in module 3, if you click, I'm not going to do it now because the menu is open, but if you click and hold on a candle, it will give you that same information. I also don't need to see here what the bar change values are in terms of dollar changes for gold, as well as that percentage difference. Again, we will show you here when we look at the watch list section. So for me, again, that's distracting. I turn it off. So don't worry about that. Volume should automatically be off. And currently there's no volume on gold, but we already have a volume indicator that does tell us that. So one less thing to be distracting. And again, I don't need to know what the difference is compared to the last day. So obviously gold is a bit down. It is $2.51 down from yesterday. Again, I don't need to know that. If you do, fantastic. Now, when we get into the indicators and start adding some other indicators, you're going to see a whole bunch of data after the name. All right, so that's the name of the indicator that's currently on there. That's free. You're going to see a whole bunch of data values here that can string out very long and be very distracting and very annoying. If you don't want it there, so at the moment the volume is 0 on gold, you can turn off that value. If you turn off the title, you don't lose the indicator is still there, but you just can't find the name. It's going to be difficult to either remove it or delete it. So we generally leave the title on. Inputs you can leave on for the moment if you like, but don't stress about it. We will get into that a little later. And then the background, this isn't where you change the background. This is something we don't really stress about because that's all under canvas. All right, Heinekens, that concludes lesson 4. We will continue in lesson 5 with the rest of this menu's settings. See you soon.